Welcome back to another Akashic update. For those of you who have not seen these before, my name is Laura Mazzata. I am a holistic therapist of 20 years and an Akashic Records expert, as well as the author of Holistic Mental Health. And I record these Akashic updates every couple of weeks from the space of the Akashic Records, and they really incorporate divine perspective, divine intelligence on basic human experiences in the day-to-day life. So this could include interactions with others, our decision-making, the way that we take care of ourselves, the way that we speak to ourselves, things like that. And what I love about these updates is that they really tangibly bring forward how we take this infinite, intangible energy that exists in the universe that we connect to and make it tangible, and allow ourselves to be able to walk through our day-to-day lives from a perspective of divine love. It's a practice, it's a process, but as we continue to integrate this and connect with one another around what's coming up in each other's fields and how divine intelligence is meant to work through each one of us uniquely to be able to inform different ways that we can elevate our consciousness on this planet. It's such a beautiful way to step into that feeling of freedom and joy and intimacy that we so desire as human beings. So without further ado, let's jump into this Akashic update. Today, we are going to be talking about being too much. This is a big one in the empath community, where it's my energy is just too big, it's too much. And I feel like I'm worried about offending other people, or I feel like I'm pushing people away, and people aren't understanding me, and then I feel excluded or I feel left out. We're also going to be talking about a new perspective on stopping self-criticism, a couple different perspectives there. We can always add more tools to the tool belt to stop self-criticism as human beings, especially sensitive souls. Integrating past life energy, kind of a new spin on how we integrate that. I actually have a video on my YouTube called Unveiling Past Life BS. It's a live that I did with Jacqueline Kaminsky, where we talked about this concept, but I wanted to share it here because I just love it. And I feel like it relates also to how we are meant to integrate the different parts of ourselves. Getting clarity on your unique intuitive gifts and what the grief process is really teaching us. So we're going to start here with celebrating that you are too much. So too much is obviously very subjective, right? And one of the reasons that we feel this about ourselves is because we feel we are too much. It's like, I don't know if I can hold my energy. I feel like I don't know how to get a hold on my own energy. It's scattered. I feel like it's unclear, not purposeful, directionless. And so it's definitely important for us to get in tune with where we are with ourselves on being too much. Okay. And the other thing I want to share here is that when you're interacting with other people and you're consistently receiving the message of you're too much, or people are avoiding you or keeping you at an arm's length because your energy is so big, or you're feeling like you're never getting your needs met, that is really a reflection of other people's capacity and not your own. Your capacity is actually huge. All of our capacities are infinite, but some of us choose to cultivate and expand that, and some of us don't. And we're all drawn to different things on this path, so neither is right or wrong. So you're not wrong for having big energy. And I think what happens is when we have souls that enter this human body with huge energy, here to do big things in the world, I am one of them, it can feel like really confusing. It can feel overwhelming, because it's like, how do I harness all of this? Like, how do I manage this in a way that feels really grounded and really centered and really calm, right? And a lot of times people who identify as too much identify as ADHD or neurodivergent, or just overly excitable and super, super passionate. And that's really what it's about. It's really about passion. You know, you can even listen to a previous Akashic update. I think it was the last one on March 30th, 2023, that was talking about anger being a cue into our passion as well, and into our advocacy and what we're meant to do on this planet, how we're meant to use our voice. So I want you to depersonalize this too muchness and really allow yourself to look at, where am I feeling like I'm too much? And it's funny because I've run into this a lot with excitement. It's like, well, I love the feeling of excitement. You know, I'm a passionate person. I'm very animated. And And I love being in that vibration. It feels great, but it's also too activating for my nervous system a lot of the time. Like it can be very overactivating. And so although I desire that, to feel that, I can't sustain it long term. It's something that I want to allow myself to celebrate, but then also shift back into a centered state. Because even though it's excitability and it's a quote unquote positive emotion, it's still not fully regulated, right? It's still activating the nervous system and keeping it in overdrive. So this concept of being too much can be very multifaceted, but most importantly, I want you to not personalize this and realize that other people just may not have the capacity to hold that. And it's good for you to honor that as well and not blame them for not being able to hold your energy. Right? There can be a communication back and forth about how you can find harmony within that relationship, but it's also understanding and appreciating that's where they are in their path. And if they do not desire that, both of these have helped me a lot on my journey. So I wanted to share them with you. And I was reminded of this from a meme that was actually posted by earth.altering on Instagram. And what they wrote was, when we help ourselves, we help others. When we hurt others, we hurt ourselves. We are all endlessly intertwined. And I love this because I'm just going to read a few words that I wrote about this, and I'm just going to ad lib a little bit here about how it's been relevant for me as well. But when we hurt ourselves with our words or otherwise, we also do a disservice to others, because maintaining our vibration and our frequency is a responsibility to others, to the collective, as much as ourselves. Energy is always being exchanged with or without conscious intention. So whether I am speaking to somebody, or I am just in somebody's field, or I'm thinking about someone, that energy is being exchanged between me and another being. All I have to do is be present on this planet, and I'm exchanging with other beings. Okay. It's always being exchanged, whether you mean to exchange it or not, especially if you're an empath. It's in your light worker. Like your light's going to shine. Your energy's big. Your energy is going to be felt, okay? And if you err on the self-critical side, chances are people are going to be able to feel that from you. Well, they are going to be able to feel that from you, okay? And chances are that you are much more devoted to being compassionate, flexible, and understanding with other people than you are with yourself. And, you know, the old statement of, listen, would you talk to a friend that way? Would you talk to your kid that way? Would you talk to a loved one that way? No, so don't talk to yourself that way, right? That didn't click for me. But this concept of, if I know how vital it is for the betterment of everybody, that I don't self-criticize, because whether I'm intending to or not, they can feel that vibe for me. They can feel that self-deprecation. And this helps with boundaries too, because we teach other people how to treat us. So it's like, if I'm treating myself like shit, how can I expect other people to not treat me the same when I'm putting out the vibe that that's okay? Like, my energy field is open for that. And if my energy field is open for that, then I don't have a boundary in place to stop anyone from treating me like crap. Right? So there's that. And the other thing that I want to share here is, so one of the things that helped me a lot, any of you who are watching who have autoimmune disease or have been diagnosed with autoimmune at any point in your life, thinking about this symbolically, autoimmune disease is basically the body is attacking itself, right? This was huge for me because I've been on a journey of recovery from autoimmune disease myself for the past 10 years or so. And I'll tell you, that was a game changer for me when I was able to be aware of any efforts that I put toward myself that are attacking myself, whether it's intentional or not. I am contributing to my symptoms. I am contributing to this so-called disease that's been handed to me, right? So that was a big one too. And you may not have autoimmune disease. You may have chronic pain. You may have other things that are going on in your body. We all have things come up in our bodies over the course of time, right? But what is one of the best ways to be preventive about that is to be really loving and nice and compassionate and gentle with ourselves. Okay. So that's the concept of self-criticism. So it's really about, knowing how this is perceived by other people. And since we're more motivated to take care of other people than we are ourselves, allow that to motivate you, at least for now, until you kind of get this down. Okay. All righty. Now we're going to move on to past lives and ancestry. This was fascinating. This was a conversation that ended up coming up in my Vitality program. This is an 8-week program that I run. It's my favorite freaking program in the world because there's a lot of one-on-one time. We have a couple group calls. I go live every other day with just intuitive practices based on what's uniquely coming up for each person in the group. It's totally customized. We all grew so much. I love this program so much. And so we're on this group call, and one of my clients says, she's talking about her past lives. And this is Jackie Kaminsky that I did the live with on my YouTube. You can probably hear my dog too. She's coming to visit us during this live. So if I'm moving my arm, it's because I'm petting her to keep her happy. But anyway, so she was talking about how all of these past lives and ancestors were coming into her field, and and she's a Reiki master and an Akashic records practitioner, and just an overall energy queen. And so she knows how to clear this energy, right? And so she's like, all these beings are coming into my field, and I think that's one of the reasons I'm scattered, and I'm just not feeling like solid or grounded. And there's these parts of me that I just want to send love to, but it's interfering with me. And I love that she brought this forward because the downloads that poured in were just amazing. Because number one, I have my own way of doing past life work that's kind of a combination and integration of a bunch of different styles, because all the styles I've tried, I've kind of liked pieces of them, but I felt like there's something missing. And one of the things that makes me crazy about past life work and even ancestral work is this feeling that like we need to consciously understand what is coming forward in these past lives to be able to fully integrate them. And I think that's complete BS, to be honest with you. Like, I think it's BS because the deepest energy work we can do is past life work. That's like energetic building blocks of our soul, right? And so it's like, that's the deepest work we can do. We don't need to consciously have an understanding. We just do the work and it's done. We're going to transform over time. Like I always say to my clients, don't do past life work more than once every couple months, or even once every few months. I do it once every few months because it's deep integration and it takes time and space. And we want to be patient with allowing our human to adjust to that and just allowing those building blocks to shift under the surface without getting into analysis. When we bring the ego into it, it really interferes with that deep level of integration because we create all these stories around it that then distract us from the true meaning of what's unfolding. And we can lessen the impact. Okay. But what was so cool was like when she brought this concept forward around all of these parts of herself, right? I don't know any of you who have worked with internal family systems, but internal family systems is when we really focus on, it's a theory in psychology. It's a therapeutic approach, and it's very, very effective. And we look at different parts of us, meaning, the protector parts of us, the inner child parts of us, the passionate parts of us. You can label them whatever you want. In the spiritual world, a lot of people do parts work without even realizing it, which is the inner child, the heart space, the ego, the womb space, the energy field. We talk about all these different parts of us that we are trying to integrate to be able to come into wholeness. Doesn't really matter what you call it. It's just this concept that we all have parts, right? We all have different parts of us that we are desiring to integrate so that we can come into full self-acceptance. So I want to look at it the same way with past lives and ancestry, where if we look at our parts and say, I need to go in and fix this, then we're implying that there's something wrong with us, and there's nothing wrong with us. It's really about, let me witness you, let me be with you, let me just hold space for you. And so we're going to do the same thing for the past lives that come forward, or the past life memories that come forward, or the ancestors that come into our field, right? It's not, oh, I need to go into an intentional healing and clearing. And I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I think that we need to calm down a little bit. We need to calm down a little bit in terms of like, I have to fix something. I have to do something here in order to feel integrated. All right. Instead, it's really just about witnessing them. Like, I witness these past lives, I witness these ancestors. I don't necessarily need to send healing as much as I desire to hold space for whatever's coming up for them, because they're showing up for a reason. They just want to be seen. They just want to be heard. They just want to develop a relationship with us. And as we just witness them and allow their energy to play out and unfold however it's desiring to or meant to in our fields, you're going to find that gripping energy around, I have to fix this, or what does this mean, or it's making me scattered, is going to allow you to not use it as an excuse for not moving forward, and instead use it as a way to enfold all parts of you into self-understanding so that you can move forward with more clarity. Okay. And it's really what this energy does is it allows us to welcome in all parts of us rather than pushing them away or making them separate from us. Even when we say, I'm going to send you healing and clearing as a connection to my family line, you're seeing them as separate from you. They want to be integrated with us. They want to be on this journey with us if they're showing up, even if it's the tiniest little fractal that is meant to be a part of our journey. Okay. So I just thought that was really cool. And I wanted to share it again here so that you can integrate it in your own way. All right. The next concept here is getting clarity on your own unique intuitive gifts. This is a big one too for a lot of people in my world, which is like, what am I meant to be doing? What are my unique gifts? Like, one of the biggest things, this is what really prompted this, because this came up from multiple clients, which was, how do I channel like you, Laura? I want to be able to bring things through like you bring things through. I want to be able to get these downloads like that and be able to tune into this energy and have this confidence and clarity. And it's just, my response has been, kind of stop right there. As human beings, we are a bridge between the earth and the divine. Okay. Every single one of us is, and we are all reflecting to each other. So what I've asked each one of these people, and different little things have come forward in each of these conversations, but it's, how do you feel in my presence? And I want you, whoever's watching, to be able to think about this in terms of your mentors or people that you look up to, or people that you're like, oh, wow, she channels like a boss, or, her gifts are just so beautiful and so loving and so grounded. And so, like, whatever it is you like about the people that you admire or look up to, right? How do you feel in their presence? How do you feel when you witness them? Because I'm simply a bridge. These people are simply a bridge and reflecting to you aspects of yourself that already exist, right? I'm just a mirror for you looking at yourself. And when you look at me and say, oh, how do I get that? I want you to look at yourself with wonder and awe, because really what you're saying is, I don't know how to hold all that, right? I don't know how to hold all that. Just set the intention, because you can hold it. You might not know how yet, but you will know how. We're not here to fixate and hammer home exactly how, okay? But this knowing that's coming up when you're in my presence or another person's presence that you look up to is just a sign that there's an energy within you that's ready to be seen and that's desiring to be seen. So sit with that part of you. Sit with that part of you. And one thing that I love, and this is what each of these conversations went to, which is why they were all a little different, is I love meeting with new people that engaged with this energy, because we all do it so differently. And each time I meet a new person, it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, we're learning a new way that the infinite expresses through us, and to get to know the divine. And we get to learn all these little new nuances that assist us with understanding how the divine can add more and more possibility and opportunity into our awareness, right? Because the awareness is really there. We just have to open to it. So it's saying, let's access that feeling that you feel when you're in my presence, or when you're in the presence of another mentor, and identify, where do you feel that in yourself? Like, where do you feel it in your body? Where is that coming up within your body? what is it saying to you? Where is it just naturally nudging you and guiding you? It could be the littlest next step. It could be something totally random that seems unrelated, right? But it's realizing that every single person that I've certified in the Akashic records channels differently. They use it differently. They don't bring it through the way I bring it through. And that's why there's some people that match beautifully as clients with me and beautifully as clients with somebody else, because they understand the language in which I bring things through. Whereas other people might be like, that doesn't make sense to me, or that doesn't fully resonate, or it feels like something's missing, right? Because there's billions and billions of us in this planet, and we all receive information and integrate differently. So it's appreciating that and believing and trusting that those people who are meant to hear it the way that you bring it through will find you as you continue to attune more and more to this energy and allow the humans that are mirroring and reflecting to you to be a cue into who you are and how you're meant to show up. Like, it's funny because people say, well, all right, well, I'm channeling this way, but people keep coming to me for this, and I'm really good at it, and it's really easy, and I actually really love it. And I'm like, well, just go with it, right? Like, just go with it, because the universe is showing you something. I mean, if you hate it and you're pulling teeth, that's one thing. You don't want to just respond to the community because you feel like you want to be successful or like prove that you know what you're doing, you know, but it's like, if you keep realizing, wow, you know, because this happened to me a few years ago. That's why I switched into saying that really one of the top, if not the top result that people get from working with me is massively enhanced confidence and just clarity and groundedness in who they are. And it's just funny because for me, I was like, but wait, but I do this, like I'm supposed to do this, you know, but it's just that that's why it's good to like ask for feedback from people in your life. It's just kind of like, how does it feel to receive from me? How does it feel to receive my reflections? You know, how does it feel to be me in your presence? These are all just like really cool questions to start playing with, to get clarity on your intuitive gifts as you interact with other human beings who are on this path. So that's kind of the gist of it. And I would love to know in the comments if you have questions about it, or if there's something that comes up for you there. But, you know, there's obviously so many different ways to get clarity on your unique intuitive gifts, so many different ways. We could dive into the Akashic records and excavate like crazy, but I thought this was just a really beautiful, download that came through the records around humans really being a bridge to highlighting and reflecting what our intuitive gifts are meant to be versus what we egoically think they are or want them to be. Okay. It also helps with comparison and imposter syndrome. So, all right, last thing we're talking about today is this concept of grief and what the grief process is really teaching us. So there's a couple things. This has actually been coming up a lot in my my intuitive expansion discussion community. It's called Exploring Wholeness. And oh man, it's so beautiful. This is where we all get the most raw versions of each other. Like we just show up and just say, oh my gosh, this is what's going on in my world. Like just dump. I need reflections, right? And it's support, but it's also like inviting us into divine perspective and 5D frequency of the day-to-day things that we're experiencing that we're just like, oof, I feel like I've been hit by a truck, right? And it's really beautiful. So grief has been coming up for a couple of the members. And I'm going to read this one part to you because it just came through very simply. And I like the way that it was stated as it came through, but that grief immediately grounds us. That immediately grounds us into the human, right? As soon as grief comes up, it's like, whew, I feel that, right? I feel that I am grounded in my human. Like I can feel all of my human, and it can really separate us from God as well. Because sometimes in the grief process, we can feel angry at God. We can feel slighted by God. We can feel like, what the hell is the purpose of this, you know? And feel really, really victimized by being in this grief process. But ultimately, all we desire is connection to source. So the anger and the guilt, et cetera, that accompanies grief needs to be moved through to shed the energies that distance us from the divine. This stuff that comes up with grief, it's just energy. Okay, it's just energy. We need to allow it to move. We hold on to it, we grip onto it. Why do we do that? Because we're having trouble letting go. We're having trouble letting go of our loved one. And we need to offer this energy its own process. Sometimes this process is going to last longer than others. And there's no judgment there. It's just, this energy is coming up in our human. Why? It's meant to be shed so that it's like we're peeling back the layers to be closer and closer to our divinity, to be more vulnerable, to be more heart open, vulnerable in our hearts, opening our hearts, right? That's what this process does, is it really allows that vulnerability to be able to be more compassionate and loving. Because what is grief, right? It's simply a reflection of how deeply we love and how big we love, you know, and that's a beautiful thing to come into awareness of. And that can take time, which is fine. Give yourself space with that. But I don't want you to fight the process or to analyze the process too much, because one of the biggest things that has come up, particularly in my community, but I know with a lot of people that I know, is guilt. You know, that's one of the biggest emotions that run through us with grief. And it's, I feel responsible for this person's passing. I feel like it was my fault. Did I do enough? Did I say enough? Right. And that's egoic. Right. And guilt is really a sign that we're not letting enough good into our lives. And so stop personalizing the energy and just allow the energy to move. Just witness it, hold space for it. And then we're more naturally going to be able to reconnect to our life force and to source, which is really what we desire. We desire more of a filling up, more of an expansion with this experience. And one of the things that I kind of boldly talked about in my community about this was that we can honestly easily fall into spiritual bypassing when it comes to grief, because we make it so much about us, you know, we make it so much about us. Like, it's like, oh, but was it my fault? Did I say something? That's all egoic stuff, you know? And it's like, when you look at this from a real, true spiritual perspective, let's honor the sovereignty of this other soul that passed, that it was their time of completion, that their soul signed up for this lifetime, for however long it was meant to be, for a reason, right? And we can honor the lessons that are meant to be integrated for us as this being came and went. But let's not grip on to this being as it's ascending into other dimensions and feeling the freedom that it feels as a spiritual being to go wherever it's meant to go next. And we're like tethering it and holding onto it and saying, but I'm not complete yet. And I don't know if I did something wrong, and I need to know, right? This is where trust comes in. I'm going to offer you your sovereignty as a spiritual being. I'm going to give you, I'm so glad that you feel peace, that you feel expansiveness, that you feel freedom. I love that for you. And I'm not saying that this needs to come right away. Okay. This is a process, and I want you to honor your human as it's moving through the grief process. But I really want you to witness it as energy, because grief can actually become very egoic and very attachment based. And really, from a spiritual perspective, it's the natural way of things. And us gripping onto it is just extending the process. And grief is actually a really beautiful opening if we allow it. So I think that's all I have to say about that. Oh, that's the only other thing. I knew there was one more around the spiritual bypassing piece. It's kind of like, well, since I'm a spiritual being, I am supposed to manage grief this way, or I'm supposed to respond this way, or I was supposed to manage my thoughts, my negative thoughts, and manage my vibration so that I didn't impact other beings around me in a way that disturbed their peace and made them pass on. That's spiritual bypassing. Like, come the fuck on. Okay. Like, that's a little bit that's self-deprecating, honestly. And it's taking over responsibility, and over responsibility is really actually one of the biggest symptoms of OCD. You know, it's a real egoic, body-based, nervous system-based concept, which is very human, right? And so it's like, you can't make anyone do anything. You can't make anyone do anything. Offer them the sovereignty of making their own choices and following their own path, and trust that you are following your own as you stay open-hearted and your energy field stays available for being guided by your soul. Okay? So it's a little bit of a heavy one, but I appreciate you receiving it. And thank you so much for watching these updates. You can definitely check out the Akashic Updates playlist on my YouTube so you can catch previous ones if this is something you enjoyed. You can like and subscribe below. Also hit the notification bell if you want to get updated on other tapping videos. I also have a tapping playlist, or if you want to get updated on the other Akashic updates as they get uploaded. If you want to meet with me privately, you can schedule a 15 to 20 minute vibrational assessment. It's $50. If you decide to work with me long-term or in one of my bigger programs, that $50 will be refunded to you. This is really an opportunity to get to know you, to get a little bit of feedback from me. I'm very efficient and potent with coming through with what's going on. So it gives us a brief chance to feel each other's presence and allow the energy to kind of go where it's meant to go. So wherever that's meant to lead you, wherever that's meant to lead us, if we decide to work together. But it offers you the opportunity to ask a question or two to get some clarity from the Akashic records, or just in general with what's going on in your life. And I'd be happy to hold space for you. So thank you so much. And I will see you on the next Akashic update. Bye for now.